are you doing? Getting bored at home, isn't it? Okay, today I will take you to South India, a state Karnataka, a beautiful city, Mysore. Listen of course book, lesson number 1, The Royal Parade. The Royal Parade by Nandini Nayyar. One day, the late summer of 1638, the sun was rising over the thick forest in Nagarhole. Jaya bathed and filled her pot from Kavini river. As she walked home in a wet Pavadi sati, she called out to Deva cheerfully, Deva! Deva, the elephant calf, hopped out of the thicket. On other days, Jaya and Deva would play in the river, splashing about, spraying water at each other. But today, Jaya shrunk and said, Deva, today Appa might return from Mysore. I'm going to run home. Jaya's father was the chief of the biggest tribe in Nagarhole. The king of Mysore had sent his guard to forest to summon him. They wanted advice on the herbal medicines. Jaya's father had taken special herbs and honey to the royal court of a week ago. I'll bring you some Mysore Pak. Jaya's hoped her father had remembered to keep his promise and what's the sweet. Deva trumpeted happily as he saw his little friend hurrying home, balancing the pots on her head. When Jaya neared her home, she saw people crowding there. Ah, Appa is already home, she said. She poured the water from the pots into the clean trough the cows shed and ran in the hut. The cows moved and walked to the fresh water. Jaya's father lifted her up and seated her on his lap, a big smile. He was telling the people from his tribe about Mysore, the new king there, the magnificent palace, a throne made of pure gold, and wide roads, the crowd markets where everything was available, and the huge temples. He said the city was getting ready for the big festival called Dussehra. Said during the festival, the king himself leads a guard parade of royal dignity, noble families, military officers, soldiers, dancers, camels, horses, and elephants. People listened to the wonder as they sucked their Mysore Pak. Please take me Mysore, Appa, Jaya said. It's very far, daughter. Your legs are too small for the long journey. This year I'll take your brother for the Dussehra, said the father, patting her head affectionately. Jaya jumped out of his lap and darted into the forest. Deva snored joyfully on seeing her best friend again. Jaya ran to him and buried her face in his trunk, sobbing. I can walk too, Deva. You know that. But Appa will only take my brother to Mysore. I do want to see the Dussehra parade. Deva wrapped his trunk around Jaya and lifted her. Placing her gently on his back, he began to run towards the open field. Jaya knew this was not safe for Deva. Stop, Deva, she yelled. But Deva burst out of the trees and ran across the field. Jaya was shocked to see the field was teeming, people and elephants. Deva, turn back. Jaya pulled his ears, but Deva was no mood to listen. Finally stopped in front of the chariot. His very majestic elephant calf, said the finely dressed young woman in the chariot. Jaya soon learned that people had come from Mysore palace to select elephants for the Jambu Safari, the elephant parade at the Dussehra. Turn back, Deva, Jaya fiercely shouted in Deva's large ears. Deva shook his head. He took one step forward. Little miss, said the woman in a happy voice to Jaya, can you come for the royal parade? Jaya was very scared for Deva. No, she shouted boldly. He belongs here in the forest. Of course, he will return to the forest after the parade, I promise. The woman's voice was reassuring. Jaya felt Deva was in his safe hands. Also, she was so proud for the Deva. But Deva won't have any friends in Mysuru, said Jaya after some thought. Surely he will have you. I can see how close you both are. In fact, you can teach him the royal march. Me? Wonderful little Jaya? Yes, why don't you bring someone along? You are too young to take care of yourself, smiled the woman. Can I bring 3 someones? Asked Jaya playfully. Definitely, and tell them they are the guests of Mysuru. That's how Jaya went to see the rites and fireworks of Great Dashera festival in Mysuru with her brother and parents. The graceful dancers, the smart soldiers, the brilliant band, the brightly decorated elephants, camels, and horses were all very fascinating. But Deva was the most elegant of all, and it was the Deva that Jaya, her brother, cheered the loudest. So, children, did you see how Deva and Jaya got the chance to see the grand parade of Mysuru? Okay, children? By then, goodbye.